Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting, coming to you today, and this will be an episode out of a new series called Understanding Thyself. So it's all about understanding the frameworks that we use to build our identity of ourselves, but it's also understanding, well, how do we build, you know, this ideal self, who we want to be, who we dream of being. Like how do we do that in a way that each action compounds on the next, and not in a disjointed way where we're trying to learn things that are more advanced than we're ready for. So for example, to give a bit of backstory, in my personal development journey, I started off trying to build self-confidence, which is the wrong way to go about it, because how I learned and how I was taught to build self-confidence was to base it off other people. So the problem is all the self-confidence I'd built was based around other people, their thoughts, their theories, their beliefs, not on my beliefs or values. So, it's very important that I learned sort of and develop this framework that, I'll go through it, and it's a 4-step framework. And it's first, you build self-validation, because self-validation is the understanding of, thought and the power of thought in the human mind, and how to use thought and words and narratives to take control of your mind for a positive benefit. And that's what we'll talk about today, self-validation. But the next step from there is, once you have self-validation, so understanding, the thoughts I hold and the beliefs I hold are my own, created from me, and understanding what are the ones that are put on you by society or other people, so others' beliefs and thought, and really understanding how to segregate between the two of them, because we want to give our thought and meaning more weight than someone else's thought and meaning, because living for someone else's thought and meaning is an unfulfilling life. So once we understand self-validation, then we have to understand self-belief. Now, self-belief is the fuel that builds upon, it's the fuel we use to build our dreams, to create our realities. So, if you think about it like this, self-belief is that thought of hope when you're lost in the wilderness and having to walk hundreds of kilometers to safety. It's that dream or that hope that maybe I can make it. So we got to understand, well, if that's what it comes down to in terms of, if we're in a survival situation, well, it's all about belief. If I believe I can survive, if I believe, I can get out of this, and I hold true to that, it's going to inspire me to take actions towards my goal. And you got to understand, like, when we talk about like the human body and the human mind, when we unlock the cohesion between the body and the mind, we're able to run practices that dramatically enhance our survivability in extreme situations. So for example, one of them is you can look into Wim Hof and breathing exercises, and their use to maintain and regulate the core body temperature in extreme cold environments, but also to release specific chemicals to combat extreme environments. So it's very interesting stuff. But when we understand, the thought that I fuel is the outcome that happens. So whatever path I invest my time, energy, and resources into is the path that will come into fruition. So I can either force that path, or I can figure out what is my authentic, and that's what we learn in self-validation, is what is my authentic, self, I guess. And then really, what we're able to do is, from that, we're able to then fuel those beliefs and those actions so that we're able to progress forward when the environment and the situation looks like it's going against us. So it's sort of, if you visualize this, it's like walking in a strong headwind. There's resistance, but if you keep walking, that resistance will not slow you. So it's very important for us to understand this, because this is the way that we truly unlock our potential, because our potential, or our true potential, is found beyond our perceived limitations. So where we want to give up, if we continue through, that's where we find who we are. And then from there, once we have that fuel, that self-belief, when we know how to direct our thought and emotion onto positive and not onto the negative, think about it like this analogy. There are two wolves inside you, a wolf of light and a wolf of darkness. Which one wins? The one you fuel the most. So for example, sometimes darkness is needed in life for the light to really shine. So we have to go through the darkest night before the dawn really impresses on us, the light behind it. So understand this, that, that dark aspect of you, hatred, anger, jealousy, all these different negative sides, like, they are negative behavioral traits that we've been conditioned to pick up on, but some of them are survival instincts. So we got to understand that if I live in a state of fear and I forever fuel fear in my life, what will happen is I will be on edge, always looking for the attack to come. So what we got to understand is a lot of the actions and behaviors that we do when we fuel that dark wolf aren't true actions. They're actions that are based on misconceptions or misbeliefs, which, if it were true, the actions would be justified. So the problem is it's not that it's, having negative traits, having negative tendencies, having negative behaviors. It's not that it's unforgivable, but it has to be recognized and it has to be curbed, because you don't want to go around in life spreading negativity, because you're only going to cause negativity to grow in other people. So what happens is if you believe in negativity and you spread negativity to those around you will become negative, and your environment will become hostile. Like, it'll become a negative environment. So, like, it's an environment that breeds, like, challenge and obstacles. So for any action you try to do, there will always be obstacles and challenges. Now, to the other end of this, if you're in a negative environment, how do you get out of it? Well, you just start taking positive action, and you only focus in on the positive action. By focusing in on the positive action, you don't leave room for negative beliefs to take hold. So if you're feeding the positive wolf or the light wolf, if the dark wolf tries to take its food, it's a lot bigger and stronger and can fend it off. So you got to understand, by you moving into taking all those positive actions within your life towards your life goals, what happens is the negative aspect of who you are, that self-doubt, that limiting beliefs, those toxic behaviors will just fall away. Because if you only focus on the good aspects, then you're not leaving enough room for it to grow. You recognize the negative aspects, that, hey, people might say things or do things, or act against me. That's okay. Like I just focus on the positive result or response that I can have in that eventuation. Like, if someone rips me off, and steals, let's say, $100 from me, well, I can choose to get upset and demand what is being taken. Or I can look at it as, I've just spent $100 to understand who this person is. And, you know, I can see it as a liberation, because now I don't have to invest any of my time or energy. I understand now who that person is. They've shown me quite easily. So we understand there's always a positive response, and now we're able to distance ourselves, so the likelihood of our money being stolen or resources being stolen is quite low. When if we didn't, you know, have that experience, potentially the harm may have been, you know, a lot more, because they may have gotten closer, and, you know, maybe it's, instead of $100, it's $10,000 to $100,000 that they steal. So we got to see the positive blessing in every action, but also we've got to understand that, like, when we get those thoughts of self-doubt, the only way to get rid of them is to have a new positive narrative, okay? So, you know, that's what self-belief teaches us, is how do we condition in so that every time I feel insecure or uncomfortable, I have a positive narrative that runs on repeat like a mantra, of when I feel like, oh, maybe this won't work. No, you can do this. If you put in the effort, you will achieve the result. Like, and it's a positive affirmation that we know if we put in the effort to achieve the goal, like, truly, we will achieve the goal. If we don't count the effort that we put in, and we just put in effort until the goal is ours, the goal is ours. So self-belief really teaches, you know, you how to redirect that thought, and how to catch those negative narratives and those limiting beliefs, because the problem is a lot of them are subconscious. So it means they're happening in milliseconds, and our conscious awareness isn't that quick. So what we have to learn is how to identify patterns and trends in our behavior or in situational events. If, you know, if I'm trying to better my life, and every time I try to better my life, the situation throws it back in my face, and, you know, I fail and this and that, and I'm in a worse position, what I can take from that is the way I'm going about it is wrong. Like, I need to redirect or change how I go about it. So we can understand that feedback from the environment can be very, very valuable in analysis, but we also got to understand opinion from the environment is unneeded. So listening to people's opinions, for example, like, let's say, you know, we're doing business and we're doing a marketing campaign for a small business. Listening to other small business owners, you can learn a lot. But listening to the opinions of people talking about things that they do not do and have no current knowledge in is illogical, because you're only getting half information and misinformation at best. So the thing is we got to segregate between the noise and the knowledge, okay? Because there are people out there that share information and share knowledge that are going through it, you know, and then there are people out there that go and they spend 6 weeks learning something, and now they're a full-blown guru expert. Like, we have to, the posers we have to avoid. So the next stage in understanding thyself is self-confidence. So, you know, to understand self-confidence is quite simple if we just understand, well, what is actually confidence? And to understand confidence, confidence is not bravado. Confidence is not arrogance. Confidence is not puffing your chest out. Okay? True confidence is based in one aspect, and that is certainty. Certainty of outcome. It doesn't matter how big you are, if you are certain of the outcome, you will speak with authority and directness and certainness. So even the smallest, you know, meek man, you know, that otherwise, you know, wouldn't, you know, you would never expect that they would behave this way. If they talk with certainty, you will listen to it, you know, as if it's someone that's 6'4" talking. So you got to understand, like, the power of communication lays in certainty. Okay, the power of, you know, communicating confidence is in certainty of outcome. So to put this in perspective, if we look at dating, okay, if I'm going out trying to, you know, meet girls, well, you know, I can act as if I'm the top shit and I'm the best shit in town and go around prancing around like a pony, you know. Oh, look at me, la-dee-da. I've got the best facial features, rah, rah, rah. I've got the biggest biceps and all this shit. And, you know, I've got cars, I've got money, blah, blah, blah. I can go around posing like that and fronting and having all these exterior validations of why I am who I am. Or I can know it internally. And if I talk to a girl and I am certain that if she spends time with me, we'll have an amazing time and a really good time, and I'm able to convey that through, you know, through my tonality, my body language, the words that I'm saying, you know, my language patterns, and I'm able to articulate that in a manner that is soothing to her, she's going to want to be around me because the experience is highly enjoyable. But she's going to feel that I'm a highly confident person because I believe that the words that I am saying are true. If I believe that I'm going to have an amazing time with this person and I tell them that, like, to me that is a truth. And we got to understand that there isn't universal truth, there is just individual truth. There's no truth or meaning in life. The only truth and meaning in life is the truth and meaning we give life. So understanding this allows us to really understand, well, you know, if self-confidence is based in certainty, you know, if confidence is based in certainty, what is self-confidence? That is self-certainty. So self-confidence is knowing that if I say I'm going to work out 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, I know for a fact 2 hours a day I'll be at the gym working out, or I'll be outside training. So, like, it's certainty in the results, and we only get that through experiential knowledge. So through doing and taking action. So the only way to build self-confidence is through action taken, through being in situations and overcoming them and setting rules, so that you know that if I walk through my door at home, I don't have to expect an attacker every day, but there could be an attacker one day. So it's sort of like, you know, we don't have to fear the negative result in every moment, but it's if we accept that, hey, negative may happen, things may go against me, and instead of focusing on preventing that happening, or we focus to an extent, but we focus the majority of our efforts on how we respond to and overcome things. So I learned this, I'll tell you a story. So when I did solar installations, okay, I have a big fear of heights. Heights is one of my biggest fears. So the thing that scares me most in the world, okay, is balconies, is being in high places and falling. I think the act of falling would be fun. I just think it's a very high risk area, so it makes me very nervous because I don't know the quality of the building, because I don't understand engineering and all of that. So, you know what I mean? So the thing is I had a fear of heights, but what I had to do is I had to work through it, because when you're working on slippery roofs and things like that and steep roofs, like you can't lower your performance, your output at work just because you're nervous or uncomfortable. So you have to work through it. And what I realized was it wasn't falling that scared me. What scared me was the act of falling. So when I slip, what will happen? How will I respond? Like, will I slide off the roof? Will I be able to stabilize myself? So what I realized over time was, in all these points where I felt scared, it was just that I was unsure on how I would be able to handle that situation. So by falling a couple of times on the roofs in different situations, I realized that if I just put my center of gravity as low as I can to the roof, I should be able to slow my momentum by increasing drag. So the thing is that, and by spreading the drag among the largest distance, I'm able to slow it at a more rapid rate. And the way I came up with this was sort of one by slipping and just spread eagle and just trying to slow yourself with every body part. But the other is think about a plane when it's trying to slow down when it lands. When it lands, it puts on its air brakes, and its air brakes are just fins that pop up, and they create such a force of drag that pushes back and creates this barrier of resistance, or this bubble that of high resistance that slows the plane. So by understanding this, we're able to do this on a kinetic level. So not using, air to create a kinetic force, but we're using our body to create kinetic, connection. So like the thing is what I realized was, and how I built confidence was I had to accept that, should I fall in this situation, this is what I'll do. And if things go against me, like, I'll improvise and overcome it. And when I was able to do that, I was able to focus more and be more confident. But, it takes a lot of courage to confront your fear in a state of calm. Okay? So what we got to understand is, in our subconscious, when we're in a state of fear, perceived fear or real fear, okay, our mind is trying to direct action. So fight or flight. Do we fight through or do we run away? And the thing is that with perceived fears, they're generally not, an actual fear, like a life-threatening fear, and they're quite mundane and ordinary tasks. But the problem is we create these, like, fear is in our emotions, in our subconscious. So the thing with fear is fear makes, like, no logical sense. So we create these fears in our life, and these choke points of action based on illogicalness, like ideology, based on an ideal that isn't real. So the thing is that to overcome that, the only way through is through action. So through facing it and moving through it and realizing you're safe and calm in every motion. So once we understand self-confidence and we build self-confidence, the next aspect is self-worth. And to understand self-worth is to understand, well, what is self-worth? Self-worth is just self-value. So self-worth is the actions aligned with our best interest. So many people have perceived self-worth where they think they have self-worth, but they don't take the actions in life that they truly want to take. So to understand self-worth, we first have to understand self-validation so we can identify who we truly are. We have to build belief by building belief in taking the actions and doing the work. That way we can build our self-confidence through the actions taken and the outcomes we've achieved. And then our self-value is just the collection of them, and understanding, well, I am someone who, if I say I will do something, I will do it. And if I don't know how to do it, I will learn how to do it. And it's this understanding so that whenever we negotiate or communicate with other people, when we think about interacting with others, we understand our worth and position that we bring to the table. And it means that we're more difficult in negotiations because we're not going to sell ourselves short. So self-worth can only ever be built once we understand and know who we are and the worth that we have and the value that we bring and the effort that we give. And the only way to do that is, in stages, Because if we try and do everything at once, all in one go, what will happen is we will rush things and we will half understand. And what we have to do is we have to fully understand before we move forward. That way we don't have to revisit it. We've already got that knowledge and we're just building upon building upon building upon building. And a funny thing is once you understand the truth about, who you are and the value you bring in life, you unlock the possibilities to everything that you dream of in life. Because you got to understand the key principle to life, or the key rule to life, is remember this through your own experiences in life. It is effortless to get what you truly desire in life. The only difficult things in life are things you don't want. Just understand that. When you're in love, it is effortless to do anything for that person. When you are motivated and driven towards your goal, it is effortless to take action. Because action is just, we take actions every day. It's when it's something that's not aligned to us that's difficult, because it's hard to do something that you don't care about, to want what you don't care for. Alright, I hope this helps and you have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.